So yes, I mean, so I will be talking about the same, but from a different perspective. So I have no ERC Scientific Council experience. I have only the experience of a person who made his way to an ERC project, and it's still very like living inside me. I still remember how difficult it was to get the know-how, to understand what these projects are about. So my mission, so to say, here is to help you better understand those words which you can find on leaflets, like excellency, groundbreakingness, etc., etc. So I'll try to say my recipe for understanding that, and of course it will be my like autodafé. So and I hope I will help you in your work to submit a proposal. So research idea. You have to have a research idea if you want to have an ERC grant. But what does it mean? And I will say what I think about this. In my opinion, we have to keep the right order. It is not good to sit down that I want to have an ERC grant. Yes, because they are giving me 1.5 million for something which I will certainly find out. So let's sit down and let's write a research idea for an ERC grant. No, it has to evolve within you in a very natural way. You are working on someone, you have no clue about ERC and NCN and something you don't think about. You think about your research. You are honest to yourself and to the readership and to the scholarship. And then at a certain point of view, you realize that, well, I can make this research idea even bigger and more ambitious, and this is the way it would work. So let's look around. Oh, ERC is a good place to found it, and so let's now shape my research idea even to have it even better. Let's better my research idea and submit it at ERC. So it has to be done in a natural way. I've been approached by several persons who were like. With Tomas, we were the first ones to get this ERC grant in Jagiellonian University, and I think the most important thing is that milieu could touch us and see that it is absolutely possible. I mean, that's not really possible. That's for humans. And I was approached also by people who told me that they have 1 month and they would like to submit an idea, and what should they do? Because they have this great idea about things, about. Well, there were interesting things, and we could chat around about these things. But I had to, and they were asking me. Well, I submitted a proposal to the NCN. I wrote it within 3 weeks. So why should I now work for 1 year? I've heard that you have to work more. So to stress, I think that it is not good if you write a proposal to NCN in 3 weeks. So still, NCN is much more ambitious. But you will be needing much more time to do that, including that time in the time in which this idea is evolving within you. So it is also possible. Well, it usually is like that. It's a natural evolvement of what you've been doing to that point. So you don't have to do something completely different just because somebody told you. No, you just do your research and approach ERC with humble respect and with the honesty that what I'm doing, I really want to do that. That's my idea. I believe in this idea. I believe in myself, and I think that's the most important thing in the world. That is also a good approach. So we also have to remember at the same time that a great research idea is not necessarily a great idea for an ERC grant. There are many places from where we can get funding for research. So we also have to sit down at a certain point and be honest whether this matches all the requirements which have been quite explicitly explained today by the president of the ERC or by the Scientific Council members. So sometimes, but you have also remember that you can reshape your ideas, you can work with them. And my recipe was that I kept testing my ideas. So I've launched pilot projects. Of course, I've been publishing. I was listening to reviewers. I was appearing on conferences, discussing with people. So a very important thing is to listen, to open up. That was extremely important. What Professor Arellano said, that you cannot close yourself into a room, into a cell, and not to show your idea because somebody may steal it, because that is something also which is present in our milieu, unfortunately. You have to trust in people. You have to ask them for help, and there will be one day when they will ask you for help. So that's a very important thing. I think that this thing of submitting ERC grants, that will also help our milieu to evolve, to get the culture of work more Western European. Yes. Innovation in humanities. That was something which I was scratching my head. I did the same now. Well, because innovation, that was something emphasized by the ERC leaflets, etc., etc. And I was saying to myself, well, in humanities, it is so. Well, it is difficult. It is not. It is not. And Professor Arellano also said that we have many possibilities. We can present something innovative in methodology. I mean, we have to improve our methodology all the time. And of course, there are also some other areas in which we can really groundbreaking, innovative, etc. Do not, I mean, I'm saying that because I've heard people saying, well, but humanities, I'm a historical linguist, how can I be innovative? Yes, you can do. If you don't want to be innovative, you will be not. If you want to be innovative, you will be. Some practical advice as for preparing your, I mean, and everything comes from my experience. So this is always a person specific. So, but one thing is you will be needing a lot of time. Really, really a lot of time, and because you have and point two, which is not number, but this is pointed. Consult. You can always write it better. There is no perfect text. Even the Bible is not perfect. Every single idea can be made better. If you have 2 additional weeks, within those 2 additional weeks, your proposal, your idea, you will be better. The more people you ask for advice, the better. The more distant those people are with reference of what they are dealing with in their scholarly life, the better. Do not ask your colleague which is dealing with exactly the same matter, because he will be just, patting your head saying, "Oh, you are great. That proposal is simply perfect. You will receive that." At the beginning, I did that, and I didn't receive any feedback, any negative feedback. And I said, something is wrong because I'm not receiving negative feedback. I cannot be the wisest man on earth. That is not true. Because
I would be tempted.
No, but to be honest, that was my reaction. All right, I sent it out to 5 persons. Nobody gave me feedback. Something is wrong. My reaction was not something that it is good. My reaction was something is wrong. And then I started to just simply to write. I will also come back to you, to your bureau. But I just simply started to write to people whom I didn't know. I just simply knew that they received the ERC grants. Perhaps I was impertinent, perhaps not. I was writing these letters with the most humble tone I could, and I was asking for, well, could you please spend like a night or 2 just reading my proposal? Could you please help me, and I will not pay for it? And the reaction was simply, mind-blowing. Everybody said, yes, I want to do that. And, they were contacting me via Skype, and they wanted to talk with me. So we are good to each other. We are nice. I mean, we should not be afraid of our medium. Well, I wrote my proposal. I knew when I sat down, it was like a process many years. For many years, this idea was like growing in me, and at a certain point of view, I started to write it, and I knew what I would be writing in the moment of starting writing. And I finished it in a relatively short period of time. It took me like several months. I had small children, so it was like writing at the same time saying my children not to pull my ears or something. But then what takes a lot of time is these consultations. Do not send a project proposal to somebody and say that you have to submit it within 1 week and please read it for tomorrow. You have to give these people a lot of time, and you send it, and you have a relief. You are away. You go for a trip to the mountains or somewhere, and you come back and you are refreshed, and you can think again and again on your project, and you already have a different approach to your own text. And then comes the feedback, and you respect yourself. Do not work like robots. We are humans. Give yourself a lot of time. Give yourself a comfort of writing a good proposal. Do not rush because of the deadlines. It's better to submit it this year. No, if you have the possibility, perhaps it is better to submit it next year. No rush. Everything should be done like in an honest way. And when you really feel that you have sent it out to 16 persons and you have received all the possible reviews, then and you think, I think it's quite okay, or I think it's very good. It depends on our physical psychological structure. Then you just simply submit it, but get as much review, as much feedback as possible, including your wives, your husbands, children. Perhaps it depends how old they are. But for example, my wife is not in academia, but she's very smart. She's intelligent. I was just simply giving it to her. She studied geography, and then she said, please. She read it, and she gave me very good advice. Not in meritoric methods. She wasn't the one who knows better how the valor stops evolved in Kipchak, but she was a mind which was receiving the text. So you have also to test how people understand. Do they understand the text in the way you meant it? Because that's what was happening with me. That I sent and somebody here in the bureau there was a person who read my proposal 4 times. He was calling me from Warsaw. I was sitting in Mainz, and we were chatting for 1.5 hours several times, and he was explaining me how he understands what I'm writing. And then I realized, oh gosh, something that is very obvious for me might not be an obvious thing for a historian who deals with the Roman Empire. So, and there might be in the panel there might be such a person. So these feedback is also important to test in the same way like businessmen test products on the market. They just simply test people. I mean, they will be. Will somebody be using an aftershave, which is at the same time a razor or something? They receive feedback. You also have to receive feedback from this side. So the interview. You probably know that 2-step. The second step is that you have to go to Brussels and fly, in fact, and you have to present your idea, and that is that's another challenge, and that's a completely different story than writing your proposal. So here are my basic advices for that, and if you want, I can even present you my presentation from Brussels. I forgot it a little bit, but perhaps it will be not so bad. So remember that your presentation is a spoken text. So you have to speak like, let's say like I speak here. You have to be a little perhaps more prepared for your speech, but But you have to be natural. You have to give the impression that you are self-confident. You know what you are talking about. Of course, you don't need to make them know that you are confident that you will receive the funding. No, you have to be confident in your research, that you know what you are talking about, and you have to present it in a very, in a natural way. Do not read the presentation, please, because if you cannot talk about your project, then somebody would perhaps think that it means that you don't really know what's in the project if you have to read that. And practice your presentation and practice giving answers. In the same way you get feedback of your written proposal, in the same way you have to get feedback of your presentation and present it as many times as you can. And again, you can use your wife, you can make use of your colleagues in the institute. You can ask, for example, the College of Technical Science to organize a mock interview with you, and then organize a mock interview for perhaps in another university where you know somebody, etc., etc. So do, and that is very, very important, because then you can practice presenting your text, and also you can practice giving answers, which is very important. And your answers have to be like straightforward, no digressions, which is not a strong feature of mine. And that is important. I'm still wondering what I wanted to say, but I just simply forget it. I'll just tell you some words about what ERC grant is giving to you, to understand what is at stake. Well, I think ERC is a great opportunity. It gives you opportunities to think big, because I've seen such attitude that, well, I have a great idea, but then I will be needing like many years of work, and I will be needing like 7 persons working, and there would be I would be the PI, and well, I better write an article. It's too much for me. No, I mean, the ERC is something that shows you that you have to be ambitious. So it like shows you, for those who do not believe in themselves, and there are some in our academia, that no, forget about this. You just simply do it, because that's for people and not for robots. It's for us. And then it's an opportunity to make a scientific dream come true, and that's true for myself. I judged about something and I thought it's too much, but then it turned out that it is not. It's a good opportunity for you to enter academic circulation. ERC forces you to sail on international waters and fosters cooperation, which is very important in academia, especially for those young scientists. And also it's an opportunity and inspiration to think bigger in the future. You work on something, and ERC is not the goal. It is not the ERC funding which is your goal. Your research is your goal. ERC funding is a measure. It's a great measure to make it come true. And in the course of working on your project, you will become even wiser. Of course, you will have the opportunity to improve yourself in the future. So it gives you opportunity. It's not money. It gives you money too, but it gives you great opportunities. And now, if you wish, I can venture to present my presentation, which I presented in Brussels, which has had to be presented. And I'm a bit more stressed, I think, than in Brussels. I think. Because in Brussels, well, it was me and my problems and the SH5 panel. And but now I'm intended to show you a template. You have to remember that there is no one solution for a presentation. Everybody has to go after her or his own voice. During writing your proposal, you will certainly receive different feedbacks and different opinions, sometimes contradicting each other. So somebody will advise you with this one, and somebody else will advise you completely the opposite. Yes, that's life about, and it is our responsibility to find our way, how how we are going to be able to present the best of ours. So this was my recipe. I practiced my presentation like hundreds of times. I don't remember. Perhaps it was, but that's not 100, but 50 or something. I even when I had to write this because I had no facilities at home, I even went for 3 days to a hotel which was just like 100 meters away from my home, just to be alone and have good like environment for do that. So I just I took care of myself, and this is, if you need to just stop, just do that. Take care of yourself. So I had no printed text in Brussels. So this is, I will be cheating now because I presented it like, when was it? It was some time ago.
June 2018, or yeah.
May even no, it was in May 18, and since that I didn't want to take even a look at this presentation. So I had 5 minutes, and then you have 20 minutes of discussion, which is important, and I will. Do I still have time? At least like 2 minutes. It is very important to present your idea, but in my opinion, it is not the most important thing of the interview stage. The most important thing of the interview stage is not to leave after the 20-minute discussion anybody in the room with doubts. And that is the reason. That is why it is so important to answer questions very straightforward, shortly, but everything, of course, not yes, no. But I mean, you have to explain everything, but without any digressions, because it is, for you, it is the most important thing is to answer as many questions as possible. Because there was people sitting there, like you sit here, in the same way. They have their notes, their questions, and everybody, some of these people will be having serious or just simply doubts, and you will be there to dismiss these doubts. And if you will be answering one question for 10 minutes, you will not leave time for yourself to answer those 3 doubts, to dismiss those 3 doubts. And then after, I guess, there will be a discussion of the panel, and somebody would say that, well, I had these doubts, but there was no time to dismiss them, I still have them. And so I think it is the discussion which is more important, and the presentation is something like which helps you to get into it, to enter the discussion. Of course, it introduces your project, it helps also the panelists to understand what your project is about, to remind them which project was that, even though it is presented before you enter. Sorry, not coming what to do. So that your presentation is like something that gives you a first impression about you, about your capabilities of presenting your project, which is important. But then I think comes something even more important, the discussion, in which you have to be good. This is a folio from the Old English Hexateuch, which is a very important chapter of the European medieval Bible translating tradition. Today it is hardly comprehensible for non-specialists, but we have dictionaries, grammars, additions, which help us understand what it contains. This, in turn, is the oldest translation of the Hebrew Bible into any of the Turkic languages in general. Today, Karaims would understand it, but they cannot access its content because there are no dictionaries, no grammars, no additions that would help them understand what it contains. This manuscript, and in general the Bible translations into Karaim, are an unknown chapter of the European medieval Bible translating tradition. My name is Michał Nèmeth, and I would like to present to you the kind of challenges a historical linguist must address when dealing with unedited, oldest records of a dying language. The importance of Karaim for topology is a fact. It has been isolated from the Turkic linguistic world for centuries and therefore has preserved many archaic features. But since the oldest records of this language have not been investigated yet, the Karaim data cannot be effectively exploited in historical comparative studies. Karaims are the followers of the so-called Karaite Judaism, a religion which is based on the literal interpretation of the Torah. This is expressed by the acronym, as you can see. Today, however, there is no edition of the Karaite Hebrew Bible which they could use in religious practice. The existing translations of the Hebrew Bible into Karaim are logged in manuscripts and printed materials which are written in Hebrew script which they cannot read anymore. So in this project, the Karaim Bible translations are perceived not only as the oldest written records of the language, but also as the main pillar of a dying culture. The basis of the project will be a comprehensive critical edition of the Karaim biblical text, which will be carefully selected. Then the corpus will be contrastively analyzed in order to address several fundamental research questions in terms of the origin of the Karaim and its position among Turkic languages. The most important sources will receive grammatical descriptions. Beyond that, I would like to investigate the Karaim biblical texts and the Hebrew script types that are used in them belong to one or two different scribal traditions. To achieve all the research objectives, we will create a digital critical edition equipped with a lexicographical database, which will in the future will be capable of supporting the study of other languages, not necessarily Turkic languages. And it will be a complex research instrument, providing a highly interconnected network of data based on technologies commonly referred to as semantic web. This approach will make it possible to define an unlimited number of queries using combined criteria. And this endeavor is fully feasible by the close collaboration with my partner institution, especially with Professor László Károly, who is at Uppsala University not only an expert in Turkic philology, but also in computational linguistics and Turkic linguistics. My earlier research grants have been crucial for being experienced not only in reading Karaim texts, but also in teamwork, research group leadership, or contacting linguistic informants. In the past, more than 460 items have been discovered by me and by my collaborators, including 31 very unique biblical texts. The project will significantly enhance research opportunities not only in Turkology, but also in European contact linguistics, history, paleography, religious studies, cultural studies, and biblical exegesis. And it can be also perceived as a rescue mission to save dying culture. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of this enterprise is that it will be a virtual unification of the Karaim biblical manuscripts. Thank you for your attention.